because the bench press is extremely popular in gyms all over the country, and I think that it's overrated as an exercise, and say it is a completely necessary movement for a complete strength program. But I think that a guy's presses ought to be more important to him than his bench presses. And the reason I think that is because the press is a much more complete exercise, works the whole body. The bench press, on the other hand, having a much shorter kinetic chain, is an exercise that can be used, that can use a lot more weight than a press. The clean press was taken out of the Olympic lifts in the '72 Olympics, and it's gone downhill since then. The bench press has come along, and it's the most popular upper body exercise in gyms all over the world right now. And I think part of the reason for that is you get to lay down when you're doing it, and that seems to have an appeal to people. Yeah, that's kind of annoying.
Well, that's what the NFL uses for their.
I know, and the NFL uses the 225 for reps as a proxy for upper body strength, and but you have to press too. Okay. Since you're pressing already, I'm not worried about you, but people watching this, I just don't want people to be so in love with the bench press that they forget to press overhead, because of those two, my preference, like for instance, if you were put in a situation of having to only do one, I would rather you just pressed.
Gotcha.
But the bench press is extremely valuable because heavier weights can be handled, and as a result, it makes you stronger in upper body. And it's very popular because of chest and all that other stuff. And probably the downside is that you see so many people cheating it. Their spotter doing as much work with traps and arms as you're doing with the pressing muscles. I'm going to line Brett up on the bench so that his eyes are just on this side of the bar, just like that, okay? Now, Brett, you're going to look up the ceiling. Okay. See the picture up there?
I do.
There's a grid on the ceiling. So now we're going to take a grip on the barbell. I've got you on just eyeballs, just on this side of the bench, and the reason for this spacing is because it puts you far enough down the bench that when you are doing the exercise, it doesn't catch on the bench itself. But it keeps you close enough back up here so that this handoff distance is not an unmanageable mess, okay? Now, the grip we're going to use on the bench, let me explain this real quick, is going to be the grip width that permits us to have the longest range of motion around the shoulder at the bottom of the movement. And that would be the grip width that produces a vertical forearm when the bar is touching the chest, all right? This is too close. This is too wide. Vertical forearm gives us the greatest range of motion. Now, we're not competitive power lifters. We're just using the bench press to get strong. So we're going to take a grip that for most people on a standard barbell with a 16.5-inch dimension right here would be about a hand width out from that. And if that doesn't work, then we'll adjust it. This is a B&R bar. It's got both the powerlifting marking and the Olympic weightlifting marking. This inside mark is 32 inches. Your little finger will be close to that, and that usually produces the right type of bench press grip width that works for us for general strength and conditioning purposes, which is what we do. Now, I'm going to hand you the barbell. With locked elbows, you're going to carry it out here, and it's going to come into balance directly over the shoulder joint. That's out of balance. This is out of balance, so that there's no moment arm between barbell and point of rotation in the shoulder. Elbows are locked out completely, and now the bar is in balance, okay? Now, look at the ceiling. Brett, what you're going to see is a sight picture composed of the ceiling pattern and the bar. The ceiling should be in focus. The bar is in the field of vision, okay? Now, I'm going to come down here and touch you on the chest. in a position that is 3 or 4 inches below the level of the glenohumeral joint on the shoulder. And I want you to put your chest up as high as you can get it in the air, high as you can get your chest. Shoulders back, as far as you can get them back together in the back, like you're pinching my hand between your shoulder blades, and arch the low back. I'm going to touch you right there. I want you to touch the barbell right there and return it to where it is right now. You did. Again, let's do a set of 5 with the empty bar. 3, make sure you're in that same position relative to the ceiling every time. You're going to look the bar back into that place at the end of every rep. And when the set is finished, I'm going to help you get it back in the rack. Always move the bar over the delicate structures of your throat and face with locked elbows. Let me explain why here, okay? Now, if we were taking a mechanical only view of the bar path in the bench press, a mechanical only view of the bench press bar path would be a vertical line just like it is in every other barbell exercise. The problem with that is this. You feel that? This is shoulder impingement. When your humerus is at 90 degrees of abduction and in internal rotation, the scapulas can't move here. And if I raise your shoulder up a little bit like that, you feel that? That is shoulder impingement. That is the trapping of the rotator cuff tendon between the head of the humerus and the AC joint. Physical therapists go on and on about shoulder impingement. In a press, it doesn't occur. It's physically impossible on a press, and we explained this last time. On a bench press, in fact, it can occur. And in order to avoid sawing a hole in your rotator cuff tendons with a vertical bar path, which would be mechanically better, but which we can't do because we don't want to tear your shoulders up on the bench press, what we're going to do is this. We're going to move the bar as it touches your chest down a little bit so that your humerus is only in about 70 degrees of abduction. This unimpinges the shoulder. Notice the difference in the feeling right now? So instead of here, we're going to be here, which means that when you start off at lockout with the bar vertical to the glenohumeral joint, the bar will come down a little bit, producing a non-vertical bar path. Because from here to here, there is an unnecessary moment arm on the shoulder joint. Here's a way we can fix that. Shove your chest up as high as it'll go, higher than that. Touch my hand with your chest. This is the position that we're going to bench press in. And the reason we're going to do that is because we're going to screw the shoulder joint back up under this point right here on the chest and return some verticality to the barbell path when we bench, where we should have enough weight on the bar to help hold you down onto the bench well enough so that you can start pushing this way with your legs. What I find is that people that have their feet way back up underneath them are preparing to raise their butt up off the bench. But we're going to use the knee extension function to push you back into your arch. So I'm the bar. I'm holding you down. Now push back toward me. In other words, you're going to use your knee extension to push your butt back toward your head and push the arch up. There we go. That's the position I want you in, okay? Thumbs are always around the barbell in the bench press, always. A thumbless grip on a bar is a real dumb thing to do, okay? Now, if you're benching 700 pounds in a competitive power meet and you want to take a chance on doing that, I'm not talking to you. But people starting out on the bench, hold the bar in your thumb. Hold the bar with your thumbs around the bar. This is dangerous enough as it is without taking the risk of the bar slipping out of your hands and hitting you because the thumb wasn't around it, okay? Good. 2. I'm seeing a little movement on the bench there. Make that stop. 4. There's a set of 5. Good. Push with your heels into the floor. Push your heels into the floor. Push your chest up in the air. If all you think about is pushing the barbell up, you're losing a measure of pressing efficiency. One of the best things you can think about when you're benching is that you're pushing on the bench with your upper back, okay? Dig the shoulders back into the bench and push the two apart. Good control now, 2 more. Good. Good. Because if you're tired at the end of a set of 5 and you've got the bar up here and you're on the way up with bent elbows right over your throat, bad things have occasionally been known to happen. They don't have to happen too often to make it to the newspapers, okay? Lock the barbell out over your shoulders before you start back to the rack. Okay. All of the accidents you hear about weight training that result in fatalities, all of them happen right here on this exercise.